When you can no longer perform the role of the perfect, healthy professional, you become invisible to a society that only values the mask. The judgmental noise of the office is replaced by the total silence of his flat. He sits by the window, breathing heavily, watching his hand shake. The logical system he relied on to navigate his life has finally failed him.
Today, we're diving deep into the powerful modern play, Is My Love Good Enough? We're going to break down its core ideas, all the internal battles and spiritual questions to really get to the heart of the emotional journey this play takes us on. Right from the start, the play hits us with this one powerful question. And honestly, this is the key to the whole thing. It's asking us to stop hunting for easy answers and instead to just focus on the journey, on the process of living through the mess. So where does this big philosophical journey begin? Well, it doesn't start with some grand debate. It starts somewhere we've all been, with that quiet, all-consuming feeling of an unexpected crush. It just happens. The narrator is going about his day, having breakfast, and suddenly his mind is completely taken over by thoughts of his colleague, Sunny. He's just fascinated by her, by what he calls her strong natural vigor and the smile in her eyes.
The narrator speaks in the first person, but his internal monologue does not operate as a single, unified emotional voice. His consciousness is fractured into compartmentalized factions. Early in the text, he analyzes his divided state, noting, "My mind is sound, my heart deeply immersed in its own rock and roll." He defines two distinct, entirely rival entities. The first entity is the logical mind. Its operational lexicon is defined by utility and self-preservation. It constantly questions the practical aim of compassion, demanding logical reasons for showing vulnerability. The opposing entity is the heart. It demands passion and vulnerability, arguing for an existence devoid of utilitarian purpose or self-defense.
And this quote, right from the very first scene, just lays it all out for us.
These internal forces do not collaborate. They act as hostile rivals in an ongoing philosophical debate over processing reality. The play's entire structure hinges on this conflict. The central tension is determining which of these two nodes will ultimately govern the protagonist's reality. Recognizing this internal dialectic is the only way to decode the character. This internal stalemate is eventually disrupted by external data points, the arrival of his coworker, Sunny, and the visible progression of his Parkinson's disease. Exposure to Sunny crashes psychological barriers, initiating an emotional coup where the heart aggressively presses against the mind's defenses. The text documents a total collapse of rational governance. He admits, "My mind is no longer driven by logic. To perceive danger is pure illogic." The heart effectively infiltrates the mind's operational language. This psychological takeover is immediately compounded by physical trauma. During a project meeting, the narrator misses a medication dose, exposing a violent tremor in front of his colleagues, serving as a severe system destabilizer. This physical humiliation strips away the ego's standard social defenses. Without his polished, intellectual exterior, the protagonist is left entirely vulnerable to emotional extremes. The definitive structural pivot of the entire play occurs in Act 5, Scene 13. They say love is from God. Others say it is a name of God. You can't see it just like God. The author deploys a literary mechanic known as liturgical anaphora, the deliberate repetition of a word at the end of successive clauses to create a ritualistic chant.
The play also draws this really sharp line in the sand between two very different kinds of love. It puts the superficial, almost transactional nature of the modern world right up against the deep, real connections you find with your friends and family. And this is that world of facades the narrator sees all around him. Dating on Tinder is just a potion to feel popular. The guys chasing after Sunny are like a pack of street dogs. Even talking to people at work feels like a game of charades. It's a world where everyone's hiding, looking for validation, with, as the play calls it, stone-cold emotions. But then, in total contrast to all that phoniness, the narrator finds his anchor. He's just having a simple dinner at his friend's mom's house, Amiji's, and he looks around at his real friends and just feels this wave of gratitude. This is where the real stuff is. And this is how the play starts to redefine love for us. It's not just about that romantic crush on Sunny. It's about presence, about consistency, about the selfless support he gets from the people who truly care about him. That's what the play says is the real deal. Okay, another massive theme here is the narrator's absolute commitment to dignity. Time and time again, he chooses self-respect over just taking the easy way out. He's guided by this internal code of honor, not by what other people think of him. And this kind of forces us to ask ourselves a tough question, right? When you're made to feel small, when you're humiliated, what do you do? Do you fight back? Do you lash out? Or is there another way? This line from scene 11 is the narrator's answer. He's making a conscious choice. He's saying he would rather deal with loneliness and heartache than ever compromise his own dignity. For him, there's a kind of grace in being honorable, even if it hurts. We see this principle in action when his friend Vindy gets bullied at work. The narrator is absolutely furious. But instead of just blowing up and making a scene, he stops and thinks about his family, his ancestors, these honorable soldiers, and he channels that legacy not into aggression, but into this quiet, dignified strength. He just refuses to sink to their level. Now, all of this brings us to the spiritual heart of the play. Because here, love, and especially the pain of unrequited love, gets transformed. It stops being just a source of pain and becomes a kind of divine tool for growth. You see, the narrator starts to see his feelings for Sunny in a whole new light. It's not a personal failure that she doesn't feel the same way. It's a spiritual test. That feeling of love becomes a glimpse of a promise that actually purifies his soul. The pain isn't just pain anymore, it's a process that's refining him, strengthening his character, and making him a better person. This prayer is a huge turning point. He's no longer asking for a specific outcome. He's not praying to get the girl. He's just grateful for the experience itself. He accepts the journey and finds strength in the feeling of love, whether it's returned or not. The suffering becomes a path to growth. And this is where it all comes together. That internal conflict, the search for what's real, the commitment to dignity, the spiritual test, all these threads weave together to answer the play's big question. But it's probably not the answer you were expecting. See, the story was never really about whether he ends up with Sunny. It's about what happens when you strip away all the external stuff we chase. The perfect relationship, the great job title, everyone thinking you're cool. The play just takes all of that away, piece by piece. And when all those illusions are gone, what's left? Well, the things that actually matter. Faith in something bigger than you. The dignity to get through tough times. The strength you get from real human connection, and the courage to just be who you are. These are the things that were there all along. Which, of course, brings us all the way back to the title. After this entire journey, all the struggle, the growth, the self-discovery, is his love good enough? And the play's absolutely brilliant final answer is, we were asking the wrong question the whole time. The point was never to pass or fail some test of love. The point was the journey. The act of loving, of trying, of enduring, and of becoming a better person because of it all. It takes us right back to that first idea. Maybe life's biggest questions aren't meant to be answered, but to be lived.